Have you ever felt emotionally drained, as if you had no energy left to face life's challenges? Perhaps you have experienced that feeling exhaustion, mounting pressure, everything seeming to sap your energy. Life sweeps you up like a whirlwind, full of stress, failures, and lingering doubts. In that moment, you ask yourself, when did I lose the inner strength I once had? But what if I told you that to become emotionally stronger, the key is not to force yourself, not to always push to the limit, but rather to learn how to master your inner world? It may sound unfamiliar, but that is the key. In this episode, I will explore with you 10 habits that help you become emotionally stronger, inspired by the philosophy of Stoicism, a way of life that has helped many people stay resilient in the face of life's storms. The Stoics understood that true strength is not about avoiding difficulties or seeking external validation. They did not chase after fame or let others determine their worth. The strength they sought came from within, from facing challenges with wisdom, self-control, and persistence. They accepted that adversity is an inevitable part of life, and it is how they respond that shapes who they are. Imagine a morning. You wake up feeling clear-headed, your heart calm, ready to face any challenge with a steady spirit. You do not let someone's negative words shake you, nor do you let an unexpected problem ruin your day. Instead, you find strength in moments of silence, listening to yourself, reflecting and telling yourself, I will do the best I can. That is the foundation of resilience that Stoic philosophy brings. And in this episode, I will guide you on how to apply those habits into your daily life. Not just lofty theories, but practical, actionable steps that can help you grow stronger each day. You will see that as you begin to practice these habits, your emotional landscape will gradually shift. You will become more self-aware, more resilient, and calmer when facing challenges. Life will still be full of obstacles, but you will no longer be easily swept up in the negative current. Instead, you will know how to stay grounded, focus on what matters, and let go of what is beyond your control. So, are you ready? Ready to begin the journey of building emotional strength, to stand firm in your work, your relationships, and even in the seemingly smallest moments? Let's start with the first habit, a simple yet incredibly powerful habit. Each morning, take a moment to clearly identify what you can truly control and what you cannot. Imagine this. In the morning, you open your eyes and a flood of thoughts rushes in what to do first today. Whether you will meet the deadline, whether someone will give positive feedback on yesterday's post, and all the unpredictable things ahead. But have you ever paused and asked yourself, out of all these things, what can I actually control? How much of that tangle of thoughts are things completely beyond your reach, only causing you worry without changing a thing? The Stoics have an important principle, the circle of the internal and the external. They believe that everything in life can be divided into two categories, what we can control and what we cannot. And the key to finding peace is to focus all our energy on what we can control and let go of the rest. For example, you cannot control how others behave, but you can absolutely control how you respond. You cannot control the unexpected challenges that arise, but you can control your attitude your decisions, and how you handle them. So, each morning, take a few minutes to ask yourself, what can I control today? Remind yourself that you can control your mood, the way you treat others, and how you respond to difficulties. Just a small shift in this mindset will make you feel empowered. You will no longer waste energy on things beyond your control, but instead focus on what truly matters. We have just talked about starting each day by identifying what we can truly control and what we cannot. A habit that may seem simple, but when practiced regularly, it will gradually change how you approach life. And once you have mastered that key, you will move on to another important lesson: learning how to control your emotional reactions. Have you ever found yourself in a situation like this? A busy day filled with meetings and tense discussions. You worry about things you cannot control: how your colleagues will respond to your proposal, how your boss will evaluate you, or whether an important meeting will go smoothly. But try to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what among all these worries is truly within your control? The answer is not much. You cannot control the thoughts or feelings of others, and you certainly cannot predict every unexpected situation. But you can absolutely control your own attitude. You can prepare thoroughly for the meeting, maintain an optimistic spirit, and approach everything with the most positive mindset possible. So when faced with an unexpected obstacle, how will you respond? Will you let it ruin your whole day? Or will you stay calm, find a solution, and keep moving forward? Remember, you always have control over how you respond to difficulties. The beauty of focusing on what you can control is that it gives power back to you. You no longer feel like a victim of circumstances, no longer get swept up in negative emotions, or let others dictate your mood. Instead, you become steadier, calmer, and more resilient. This shift in thinking will gradually become a natural reflex if you practice enough. The more you train yourself, the more you realize that what happens around you is not so important that it can dictate your state of mind. Because you know that true strength lies in how you respond, not in the circumstances themselves. The Stoics taught us a very important lesson. We cannot control everything, but we can always control how we respond. When you start a new day with the intention of focusing on what you can control, you have taken an important step in mastering your inner emotional world. And you know what? This habit is not just for the morning. It will become your guiding star for every moment of the day, helping you stay clear-headed and calm even when unexpected challenges arise. So, tomorrow morning, before getting swept up in the whirlwind of responsibilities and the surrounding noise, take a pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I control today? Focus on that and observe how it transforms your emotions and energy throughout the day. And once you have practiced this first habit, it's time for us to explore the second habit together. A habit that is also simple, yet incredibly important. Practicing an inner pause before reacting to emotions. Have you ever been in a situation where emotions flared up strongly, and then in anger or frustration, you blurted out words that just minutes later you regretted? Surely everyone has experienced that. We let emotions take over, letting the wave of anger or disappointment dictate our actions, and then regret reacting impulsively. That initial emotional reaction, whether it's anger, sadness, or disappointment, can make you say things you normally wouldn't, or do things that, looking back, you ask yourself, why did I do that? The second habit is this: the inner pause. It is a brief, silent moment before you react. When a wave of emotion surges up, instead of letting it overwhelm and control you, remind yourself, pause for a moment. Pause to reflect. Pause to breathe, so you don't react immediately on impulse. You may wonder, how can I practice that when emotions come so quickly, like a storm? In fact, the inner pause doesn't require anything complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as counting to 5 in your head, or taking a deep breath and holding it for a few seconds, or even stepping out of the room to regain balance. This small habit, if practiced regularly, will become a shield that helps you control your emotions instead of letting emotions control you. The Stoics deeply believed in the power of self-control. They taught that while we cannot fully control our emotions, because emotions are natural reactions, we can absolutely control how we respond to them. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." Imagine this. When an unexpected situation occurs, someone says something hurtful, an unforeseen problem arises, or even a harsh criticism is directed at you instead of responding immediately. You pause, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to think before acting. That moment, even if brief, is the moment you reclaim control. Gradually, you will realize that the inner pause before reacting not only helps you avoid impulsive decisions, but also helps you build calmness and wisdom in every situation. And that is the second habit on your journey to building emotional strength. The pause allows your mind to process the emotion before it has the chance to explode and overwhelm you. Remember, pausing doesn't mean you have to suppress your emotions or pretend they don't exist. No, it's not about that at all. The pause is about recognizing and acknowledging the emotion without letting it dictate your actions. For example, when a colleague makes a comment that frustrates you, your first reaction may be to fire back immediately, to say something in defense of yourself. But try doing it differently. Take a deep breath, pause for a few seconds, and ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Is this frustration, hurt, or am I just feeling criticized? And then ask yourself further, what would a calm, thoughtful response look like? It is precisely that moment of stillness that helps you break the cycle of automatic reactions. It creates the space for you to choose a conscious response rather than acting on instinct. And you know what? When you practice this regularly, it not only helps you avoid impulsive reactions, but also gradually builds solid emotional strength. You will find yourself becoming more clear-headed and wise in emotionally charged situations. This is how you train yourself to respond thoughtfully, instead of getting swept up in the storm of fleeting emotions. The beauty of the inner pause is that it can apply to all kinds of emotions, big or small. From the irritation when someone cuts in line, the anger during a heated argument, to the anxiety before an important presentation. Whatever emotion arises, the pause will always help you regain control over your emotions. This practice doesn't require massive changes. You don't have to become a meditation master overnight. Sometimes it's just a single pause, a deep breath, or a step back to reflect. That's all it takes. But through repetition, this habit will help you become more emotionally resilient. The more you practice, the more you'll notice yourself handling emotions with greater calm and grace. So next time you feel a wave of emotion rising, remember, take a deep breath, pause inside. Let that moment of stillness become the bridge between the emotion you're feeling and the way you choose to respond. By practicing the pause, you'll find yourself becoming more confident, emotionally stronger, and ready to face any situation without letting yourself get swept away by fleeting emotions. So, after learning how to pause and manage your emotions, what's the next step? The next step, the third habit, is one of the greatest challenges, but also brings the most lasting strength. Be honest with yourself and accept the truth without shame. Have you ever asked yourself, am I truly being honest with myself? The truth is, facing yourself is not always easy. We often avoid the truth, hide the weakest parts of ourselves, the fears, the mistakes, the failures we don't want anyone to see. And you know what? It is precisely in those vulnerable moments that we have the opportunity to grow stronger. The third habit for building emotional strength is being honest with yourself. No avoiding, no excuses, no dodging the truth, but facing it and accepting it no matter how uncomfortable it may feel. The Stoics taught that if we don't dare to look at the truth about ourselves, both strengths and weaknesses, we will remain stuck in the cycle of denial. And only by facing our shortcomings, acknowledging our emotions and imperfections, can we truly grow. Think about it. How many times have you avoided uncomfortable truths about yourself? Maybe it's a relationship that no longer serves you, but you keep holding on to it. A job that doesn't bring you happiness, but you cling to it out of fear of change. Or a bad habit you know isn't good for you, yet you can't seem to let it go. When you finally dare to face it, to say, yes, this is the truth and I accept it. The initial feeling may be painful, even numbing, but then you will discover something: clarity, understanding, and the strength to begin changing. Being honest with yourself does not mean sitting there criticizing or blaming yourself, but rather accepting. This is who I am, and I am learning. I am growing. It is this acceptance that becomes the stepping stone for you to break through and grow stronger. So next time you find yourself avoiding a certain truth, pause and ask, what am I afraid of? How would I feel if I had the courage to face it? Remember, no one is perfect, and accepting your imperfections does not make you weak. On the contrary, it is the first step to becoming more mature and stronger. This quote serves as a powerful reminder. True strength comes from knowing and accepting your true self. Only when you dare to face that truth, without avoiding or making excuses, can you begin to take full responsibility for your life, for your actions, your choices, and the way you respond to the world around you. Being honest with yourself means you stop blaming external factors, circumstances, other people, or luck, and start focusing on what you truly control: your thoughts, your reactions, and your capacity for growth. And you know what? Honesty is not just about acknowledging your weaknesses. It's also about recognizing your strengths. It's about being willing to see the full picture of who you are, both the beautiful and the imperfect parts. Of course, there will be moments when you feel vulnerable, anxious, or even scared. But it is precisely this honesty that becomes the antidote to denial, helping you stop pretending to be someone you are not and live more authentically. So how can you practice the habit of being honest with yourself? Start simple. Each day, set aside a moment for self-reflection. Find a quiet space, sit with your thoughts, and ask yourself important questions. Where am I holding myself back? What do I need to admit to myself in order to move forward? What do I need to change to live in alignment with my true values? These questions may not be easy to answer right away. There may be discomfort, even pain, as you face what you have been avoiding. But you know what? It is in that very moment of courage that you begin to peel back the layers of defense, the illusions that have long clouded your vision. The more comfortable you become with the truth, the more clearly you will see yourself and the world. You will no longer react impulsively or get caught in a spiral of negativity. Instead, you will face everything with confidence, because you are anchored in reality, no longer lost in illusions about yourself or the world around you. So, begin by accepting the truth of who you are, without shame. Let go of the need to hide, justify, or make excuses for your weaknesses. Because it is in being honest with yourself that you unlock a new level of emotional strength, authenticity, courage to face any challenge with clarity and resilience. And once you have practiced the habit of honesty, it's time to add another equally important habit: learning to reflect and review your day, every single day. Have you ever truly taken the time to reflect on how you acted, how you reacted, how your emotions played out throughout the day? Perhaps you, like many others, rush forward day after day, rarely pausing to see what you have learned from those experiences. But this is the key point. Emotional strength is not something that comes naturally. It is cultivated through taking the time to reflect and learn from the moments in our daily lives. The Stoics practiced this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the famous philosopher-emperor, used to write down his thoughts at the end of each day in meditations. He recorded how he reacted to events, asked himself if he could have done better, if he could have managed his emotions more wisely, and through that, he continuously improved himself. The fourth habit on the journey of building emotional strength is this: take time each day to reflect on what you did well, the mistakes you made, and the emotions that guided you. Reflection allows you to step out of the busy pace of life, pause, and see yourself from a more objective, clearer perspective. And why is this so important? Because most of the time, we react to situations without truly understanding why. We get swept up by emotions, by habits, by old patterns. But when you stop and ask yourself, why did I act that way? What emotion was driving me? You start to untangle the knots in your mind. You see more clearly what the true motivations are, what hidden fears exist, and what values you actually want to live by. Imagine each evening you sit down and write a few lines. How did I respond to challenges today? Did I stay calm? Is there something I could do better next time? These questions act like a mirror, reflecting yourself without judgment, without criticism, simply to understand more deeply. And through that understanding, you can adjust your behavior, train your emotions, and grow with each passing day. So, when the day ends, before you drift off to sleep, ask yourself, what did I learn from today's experiences? Who do I want to become tomorrow to be a better version of myself? That is the power of self-reflection, a small habit that can make a big difference in your journey of emotional growth and personal maturity. Have you ever asked yourself, how did I react today when faced with anger or fear? Did I approach challenges with calm and rationality? Daily reflection is about answering those questions. It helps you see how you are behaving, identifies repeated patterns, and allows you to spot areas for improvement while also acknowledging your strengths. Think back to the last time you faced an emotional or difficult situation. How did you handle it? Did you respond thoughtfully and calmly, or did you let impulsive emotions take over? By taking just a few minutes at the end of the day to reflect on those moments, you begin to see which responses are effective and which ones need adjustment. The important thing is that this reflection is not about criticizing or judging yourself. It's not about sitting there blaming yourself for past mistakes, but about gaining a clearer understanding. Understanding to learn, to adjust, and to become better tomorrow. For example, imagine you just had an argument with a colleague. Instead of letting the frustration linger all evening, try pausing and asking yourself, did I really listen to them? Or was I just waiting for my turn to argue back? Did I stay calm? Or did I let emotions guide me? When you truly sit down and reflect like this, you'll see more clearly how to improve your communication skills, adjust your emotional reactions, and become a calmer person in similar situations. The great thing is, this practice doesn't need to be complicated or time-consuming. You don't need to write a long diary every night. Just spend 5 minutes before bed asking yourself, what did I do well today? What could I do differently next time? How did I handle my emotions? What can I learn from this experience? It is these simple questions that help you reshape yourself, adjust before emotions spiral out of control, and prepare a mindset that's ready to face tomorrow with a clearer head and a stronger spirit. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, also practiced this every day. He wrote down his thoughts, actions, and reactions, not just to learn from his mistakes, but also to acknowledge his progress, no matter how small. Reflection is not just about recognizing where you fall short, but also about appreciating the steps you have taken, whether it's holding back an angry outburst in a conversation, or simply remembering to take a deep breath before answering a tough question. Looking at yourself through the lens of reflection is like gazing into a mirror, not to criticize, but to recognize. When you do this, you begin to see more clearly the good qualities you are building, and you feel more confident in your capacity to recover and grow. So, make self-reflection a part of your daily routine. Just a few minutes each evening to sit down and ask yourself, what did I learn today? What could I do better tomorrow? This small habit will gradually help you develop deeper emotional awareness, stronger resilience, and the clarity you need to face any challenge in life. And once you have started cultivating the habit of reflection, it's time to move on to another important practice, one that has the power to transform how you see the world. Practicing gratitude every day. Ask yourself, how often do you focus on the things you don't have? A better job, a better relationship, or simply more time in the day. We live in a society where people are constantly driven to go further, achieve more, conquer new goals, one thing after another, milestone after milestone. And in this endless race, it's so easy to forget to appreciate what we already have. The fifth habit for building emotional strength is practicing daily gratitude, a habit that Stoic philosophy considers deeply important. Gratitude is not just the feeling of joy when receiving good things. It is the awareness and appreciation of the small, simple things in life that we often take for granted. A delicious meal, a sunny morning, or just a warm hug from a loved one. This practice can change the way we view life, shifting our focus from what we lack to the abundance already present around us. It's not just a simple technique, it's one of the most powerful ways to build emotional resilience in a life full of ups and downs. Gratitude helps us stay connected to the present moment. When you focus on what you have, rather than constantly thinking about what you haven't yet achieved, your perspective changes. You begin to realize how much you have been blessed with: family, friends, health, opportunities, and even the smallest. Things like a fresh morning, a fragrant cup of coffee, or a warm smile from a stranger. This shift in mindset not only improves your mental well-being, but also helps you appreciate the journey rather than just chasing after the destination. Have you ever noticed how, in the hustle of daily life, we often get caught up thinking about the next goal, forgetting to savor the present moment? Gratitude is the key that opens that door to pause and experience life more fully. The Stoic philosophers also deeply valued the power of gratitude. Seneca, one of the great Stoic masters, once said, "A good character is not formed in a week or a month. It is built little by little, day by day." And gratitude is an essential part of that character-building journey. Most importantly, gratitude is not about waiting for something grand to feel thankful. It is not about waiting until you have a bigger house, a better job, or a more impressive achievement. Gratitude begins by appreciating the simplest moments each day. The sunlight streaming through your window, the sound of birds in the morning, or a gentle, caring word from someone. When you practice gratitude, you cultivate a sense of peace, a feeling of contentment, even when the external circumstances may be turbulent. It reminds you of all the good things happening in your life, the things you may have become so accustomed to that you barely notice. So how can you practice gratitude in a simple yet effective way? Start by taking a few minutes each day, perhaps in the morning when you wake up, or before you go to bed, to think of at least 3 things you are grateful for. It could be your loving family, a colleague who helped you today, or simply the comforting feeling of sipping a warm cup of tea. You can write it down in a notebook or simply think it in your mind. What matters is that you feel the gratitude with your whole heart. This simple habit can create profound changes. It not only soothes your mind, but also reshapes the way you see the world. You'll find yourself starting to focus more on the positive, on the good that is happening, instead of endlessly dwelling on the negative or what's not yet perfect. But you know what? Gratitude is not just a passive feeling. It's an active choice. You can choose to focus on things that make you feel grateful, even on difficult days. You can choose to see the positive side of life, even when facing challenges. When you practice gratitude, you are training your mind to focus on abundance, on what you already have instead of what you lack. This shift in focus will gradually build a solid emotional foundation, helping you face adversity with greater calmness and clarity. Gratitude also deepens your connection with the people around you. When you express gratitude, whether it's a thank you to a close friend, a word of encouragement to a colleague, or simple appreciation for the kind vendor at the market, you are spreading a wave of positive energy. And you know what? It's these small actions that foster connection, build strong relationships, and create a more positive environment for everyone. So tomorrow morning, before you get swept up in the busyness of life, take a moment to list 3 things you are grateful for. And when challenges arise, remind yourself there are still so many beautiful things to appreciate. Gratitude is not just a fleeting emotion, but a daily practice. It reshapes your mindset, nourishes your emotional strength, and keeps you grounded in the present moment, no matter what is happening. Letting go may sound easy, but in reality, it is one of the most difficult lessons each person must learn on the journey of emotional growth. Think back for a moment. Have you ever experienced a loss? It could be the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, an unfulfilled dream, or even the sense of certainty about a future you once thought was yours forever. Loss can take many forms, and with it comes a wide range of emotions: sadness, anger, disappointment, anxiety, and even fear. Sometimes loss strikes suddenly, like a storm ripping the safety net from beneath your feet, and in that moment you may feel like you've collapsed, as if everything has come to an end. But the truth is, loss is not the end, it is an inevitable part of life. And learning how to let go is one of the most important keys to building emotional strength. The 6th habit we'll explore today is learning the art of letting go, embracing loss as a natural part of life, rather than something that defines or destroys you. The Stoics have long understood this. They taught that everything in life is temporary, even the things we cherish the most. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Loss is nothing other than change, and change is nature's delight." A short but deeply profound statement. It reminds us that life is always in motion. People, possessions, opportunities, everything changes over time. And what matters is not how to avoid loss or control everything, but how to accept it with calmness and understanding. Letting go does not mean you don't care or don't appreciate what you've lost. On the contrary, it means you acknowledge that loss is inevitable, and clinging to it, whether through pain, anger, or regret, only drains your mental energy. When you learn to let go, you free yourself from the weight of the past and create space for new opportunities and joys to come into your life. Ask yourself, is there something in your life that you're holding on to? Are there situations, relationships, or even old beliefs that you're still clinging to, even though they no longer serve you? We often hold on because we're afraid to face the pain of loss, afraid of not knowing what will happen when we let go, afraid of the emptiness that might come when that thing is no longer there. But you know what? It's when you have the courage to let go that you open yourself up to new, better things in life. Letting go is not an act of weakness. It is an act of liberation. It frees you from the heaviness, from clinging to old memories or emotions that are outdated and no longer relevant. Imagine a day when you let go of anger after an argument, release resentment after a painful breakup, or accept that you cannot change the past. Each time you do this, you are training yourself to embrace life as it is, with all its impermanence, uncertainty, and sometimes its losses. In practical terms, learning to let go can begin with small things. It might be a daily reminder, I don't have to control everything. It's the acceptance that you cannot fix every mistake, cannot hold on to every relationship, and don't need to cling to every missed opportunity. Letting go also means releasing the need for external validation. How many times have you clung to someone's approval, past successes or certificates and achievements to define your self-worth? But your true value does not lie in those things. It lies in who you are, in your beliefs, your character, and the way you face challenges each day. Emotional strength doesn't come from clinging, but from having the courage to let go and move forward. Remember, letting go is not the same as giving up. It's about acceptance. It's about acknowledging that you can't control everything, that loss is a natural part of life, and that you have the power to choose how you respond. When you choose to let go, you are choosing to move forward. You are choosing to trust that even when loss happens, life will continue to unfold in its own way, and perhaps a new door will open, offering opportunities you never imagined. By letting go of the need for validation, or holding on to what no longer serves you, you will discover a fresh sense of freedom, an inner space for peace, growth, and the welcoming of new opportunities. The Stoics taught that letting go is not an ending. Instead, it is a beginning, a way of creating space for something better to emerge. Loss does not have to break you. It can be the very foundation from which you grow stronger and more resilient than ever before. So, practice letting go as a conscious choice, not because you are giving up, because you trust that by releasing what no longer fits, you are making room for new and more meaningful things to enter your life. But then comes the question, how do you stay focused on what truly matters without getting swept away by the temptations and distractions of life? That brings us to the 7th habit we'll explore together. Set clear priorities, know what truly matters. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself caught up in the whirlwind of others' demands? A day passes in a blur of answering emails, handling urgent tasks, rushing to finish everything. And then when you look back, you realize that most of your time was spent on things that didn't really move you closer to your bigger life goal. It's so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? When life surrounds you with urgent tasks and the constant noise out there demands your attention, you can easily get swept away without realizing you're spending your energy on things that don't truly matter. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They were masters at focusing on what is most important and not getting distracted by trivial things. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the importance of prioritizing the right actions and focusing on what is within his control. He once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." profound reminder that life is constantly presenting choices, and how we choose to set priorities will shape our entire life experience. So what does it mean to set clear priorities? It means taking the time to pause and ask yourself, what is truly worth my time and energy? What will I never regret investing in? These questions help you cut through the noise, separate what is important from what only seems important, but doesn't bring real value. In the chaos of modern life, it's easy to feel like you have to do everything, from work responsibilities, family duties, to maintaining social relationships. But the reality is, you cannot do it all, and you don't need to do it all. When you clarify your priorities, you free yourself from the feeling of needing to chase after every task or request. Ask yourself, among the things you do every day, how many of them truly align with your core values and long-term goals? How many are things you do just because others expect them, or because you don't want to miss out? We often get caught up in urgent tasks emails that seem to demand an immediate response, meetings that aren't truly necessary, or small tasks that don't actually bring you closer to your true goals. And when you spend too much time on things that don't matter, you end up feeling drained, stressed, and disconnected from yourself. But when you proactively set your priorities, everything changes. You'll know when to say no with conviction and when to say yes with commitment. You'll start to recognize the value of your time, the most precious resource you have, and begin to allocate it more wisely. This habit not only makes you more effective, but also helps you feel more confident and calm in the face of pressure and distractions. So, starting today, take a moment to ask yourself, what is truly important to me? What brings meaning, value, and deep joy to my life? Then, have the courage to make a choice. Focus on what really matters and be willing to let go of the rest. When you do this, you are step by step building a solid emotional foundation, a resilient mindset that can face challenges without getting caught up in the whirlwind of unnecessary tasks. Because when you make a conscious decision to focus on what truly matters, everything begins to shift. You become more purposeful with each moment, each action. You dare to say no to things that no longer align with your priorities, and boldly say yes to what propels you forward. Even if that means turning down some people, some invitations, or even some opportunities that may seem appealing at first glance. This focus brings a sense of calm and clarity, because you know exactly where to direct your energy. You no longer get swept away by meaningless busyness, or let the noise out there pull you in every direction. Setting priorities is not about racing to keep up with everything. It's about choosing to live intentionally, to live for what truly matters. When you focus on the core, you begin to let go of trivial tasks, unnecessary worries, and things that only add stress without bringing real value. Instead, you channel your energy into the things that make the biggest difference in your life, the things truly worth your time and effort. The Stoics emphasized this thousands of years ago. They understood that true wisdom comes from focusing on a few essential things and having the courage to let go of the rest. When you focus on what you can control and what will bring you closer to your goals, you create the mental and emotional space needed to live with clarity and purpose. So today, take a moment to ask yourself, what is my top priority? What is something that no matter what happens, I will never regret spending time on? It could be family, health, a meaningful project, or simply time for personal growth. When you set clear priorities, you'll feel the power of taking control of your time, energy, and emotions. This is how you align your daily actions with your deepest values and begin building the life you truly want. But then you might ask yourself, when everything around you is so loud, when pressure and expectations keep pouring in, how can you stay focused, stay grounded, and not get swept up in the chaos? That's exactly when we move to the 9th habit, an essential practice for maintaining emotional strength in this turbulent world. Practicing mental detachment, being present without getting overwhelmed. Imagine this. You live in a world that constantly bombards you with the latest news, conflicting opinions, and never-ending demands. The pressure from work, social media, and invisible expectations keeps closing in on you. Have you ever felt like everything needs your attention all at once, and you're sinking into a sea of chaos? Here's the important lesson. Emotional strength doesn't come from reacting to everything that happens around you. It comes from practicing mental detachment. The 9th habit is about learning to be fully present in life, without being swept away by every situation, every piece of information, every word, or every challenge. Mental detachment doesn't mean becoming indifferent or apathetic to the world. It doesn't mean closing off your heart, ignoring your own feelings or those of others. Instead, it's about creating a healthy space, a boundary, between what happens outside and your internal response. You notice everything, you listen, you observe, but you don't let it control your emotions, define your worth, or disturb the peace in your mind. Think about the last time someone criticized you, judged you, or when you faced negativity. Did you respond? Did you let those words tear into your mind, making you angry, sad, or lose confidence? Or were you able to step back, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, this is just someone else's opinion. It does not define who I am. When we let our emotions get too entangled with everything happening around us, we lose our ability to stay centered and clear-headed. But when you practice mental detachment, you train yourself to step back and view things from a more objective perspective. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer let someone's words ruin your entire day or let a tough situation break you down. Instead, you become calmer, wiser, and more selective about what deserves your energy. So how do you practice this in the busyness of daily life? And how do you maintain clarity and steadiness even when the world feels chaotic? The Stoics were masters of this concept. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught that we cannot control what others think or say about us. What we can fully control, however, is how we respond to those opinions. He said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." A simple sentence, but if you truly internalize it, it can change how you see your entire life. Because when you practice mental detachment, you can still experience the full range of emotions. Sadness, joy, disappointment, hope. But you don't let those emotions control and dictate your actions. You learn to respond thoughtfully, wisely, and calmly, instead of reacting impulsively or out of temporary instinct. One of the simplest ways to start practicing mental detachment is to pause and ask yourself, what is within my control and what is not? You cannot control the actions of others. You cannot dictate their words, attitudes, or even the outcomes of their efforts. But you can control how you perceive the situation, how you interpret it, and how you choose to respond. When you truly understand and accept that you cannot control everything, you will feel much lighter. You free yourself from the pressure of trying to please everyone, from the stress of things not going your way, and from the exhaustion of trying to fix things that were never yours to control. Mental detachment is also how you establish healthy, emotional boundaries. For example, when someone criticizes you or tries to impose their expectations on you, mental detachment allows you to listen without letting those words define your worth. You can still learn from feedback if needed, but afterward, you let go of any negative emotions that do not serve you. The goal of this practice is to keep your focus on what you can control: your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions, while letting go of the need to control others or external events. When you cultivate mental detachment, you learn to stay present in the moment without being pulled away by distractions or negative influences that steer you away from your true purpose. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone unexpectedly criticizes you. Instead of reacting immediately with anger, you pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this within my control? What can I do right now to respond more wisely? By creating this mental space, you'll find yourself becoming calmer, less swept up by emotions, and better equipped to handle life's challenges with resilience and wisdom. So, how can you begin practicing mental detachment today? It's simple. Recognize that you don't have to react to everything happening around you. Pause before you respond, whether it's to criticism, disappointment, or stress. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. As you start practicing this regularly, you'll notice yourself becoming more confident, more composed, and less easily shaken by external events. And then you'll realize that it's mental detachment that helps you connect with the world and others in a healthier way. Not because you are indifferent or uncaring, but because you are no longer overly attached to outcomes, opinions, or emotions beyond your control. Now, here's an important question. How can you make each day truly meaningful, so you're not just existing, but really living? That's when we explore the 10th habit-setting daily intentions to define your reason for being today. Each morning, when you open your eyes, you are given a priceless gift, time. But ask yourself, how many times have you started a new day without a clear purpose? You let the day drift by unconsciously, allowing old habits or external factors to dictate every decision. You race through to-do lists, jump from one meeting to another, one email to the next. But by the end of the day, you feel drained and lost, unsure if you accomplished anything meaningful at all. The truth is, without a clear purpose, each day becomes just a series of tasks directionless and joyless. To build emotional strength, you need to create a sense of purpose in each day you live. And that is the 10th habit. Set a daily intention. Define a specific purpose so that each day is not just an endless loop, but a deliberate step forward in your personal growth journey. This doesn't mean you have to cram your day full of endless tasks. On the contrary, setting a daily intention is about bringing mindfulness into your day. What do you want to achieve today? What do you want to learn? Or simply, what joy and meaning do you want to bring to yourself and those around you? Today, setting daily intentions helps you wake up with clarity and energy. It's like a morning reminder. What will I focus on today? Think back for a moment. How many times have you let the day slip by without truly focusing on anything meaningful? You stay busy all day, answering emails, attending meetings, handling endless small tasks. But by the end of the day, you find yourself wondering, did I actually accomplish anything of real value? When you set daily intentions, you consciously choose where to direct your energy and attention. You no longer get swept up in the unconscious routine. You turn each day into a step forward towards something greater. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living intentionally. Marcus Aurelius, in his journal entries, constantly reminded himself of his daily purpose, the values he wanted to uphold, and the way he wished to present himself to the world. He once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." A simple yet powerful statement. By setting daily intentions, you ensure that your thoughts and actions align with your deeper values and goals. This gives you the focus and clarity needed to navigate challenges during the day, helping you avoid getting lost in a sea of choices and pressures. Daily intentions also bring a special sense of fulfillment. When you wake up with a clear goal in mind, whether it's to complete a project, care for yourself, learn something new, or simply bring joy to someone else, you give yourself a reason to act, something to aim for by the day's end. And when you achieve that goal, no matter how small, you'll feel a sense of pride and satisfaction. This feeling not only helps you maintain motivation, but also builds emotional resilience. Because every day you achieve a goal, even a small step forward, you reinforce the habit of taking action, the habit of moving ahead. Daily intentions don't have to be grand or complex. They can be as simple as, today I will care for my body. I will learn something new and apply it. Or I will take time to listen and support a friend. Whatever your intention, the key is to make it meaningful to you, aligned with the long-term goals you are pursuing. When you do that, your day will feel full of purpose and fulfillment, rather than just a list of tasks to check off without heart. So, tomorrow morning, before you get swept up in the busyness, take a few minutes to ask yourself, what is my reason for being today? What do you want to focus on? What will make today meaningful? So that when you lay down to rest at night, you can say, today I lived with purpose. Setting daily intentions is a small but powerful practice. It can shift your mindset, help you focus, boost your productivity, and approach each day with a spirit of intention and vitality. And now, as we've journeyed through this together, take a moment to reflect on the powerful habits we've explored and learned. Building emotional strength is not about avoiding difficulties, nor is it about controlling everything around you. It's about learning to master your reactions, choose your mindset, and create habits aligned with your deepest values. The 10 habits we've explored today, from identifying what's within your control, learning to pause before reacting, being honest with yourself, to setting daily intentions, are not just techniques to get through challenges. They are the foundation for building solid emotional resilience, a steadfast spirit, and a meaningful life. When you practice these habits, you will gradually reclaim control over your emotional world. You stop reacting impulsively, stop letting fleeting emotions dictate your actions, and instead you respond with clarity, focus, and strength. You'll find yourself steadier in the face of criticism, calmer in the face of adversity, and more resilient when dealing with rejection, failure, or unexpected challenges. You will become a better, stronger, and more peaceful version of yourself. Together, we've gone through a journey of discovering emotional strength, from identifying what truly matters, letting go of what no longer serves you, to setting daily intentions that give your life meaning. And the core lesson that the Stoics have taught us is this: emotional strength doesn't come from avoiding discomfort, but from embracing it with the right mindset. They understood that life is full of challenges, and it is how we respond to them that shapes who we are. True strength is not about having everything go smoothly. It's about how you handle the hard times, whether you can stand firm in the storm, learn from your setbacks, and keep moving forward. By setting clear priorities, practicing gratitude, learning to let go of what's beyond your control, and staying committed to your own goals, we are step by step moving closer to the strongest version of ourselves. And now, I want to challenge you. Choose one of the 10 habits we've explored today and commit to practicing it this week. It could be pausing before you react, taking time to reflect and choose your response rather than acting out of emotion. Or it could be setting a small daily goal, something meaningful to you, whether it's completing an important task, taking care of your health, or deepening a connection with someone you love. Or maybe it's practicing mental detachment learning, to take a step back and not letting things beyond your control affect your emotions. Remember, the small changes you start making today will be the foundation for the emotional strength you'll need tomorrow. You don't have to do everything all at once, just choose one habit and practice it consistently, day by day. It's the steady effort, the persistence each day, that creates the transformation you are seeking. And you know what? This journey is one only you can walk. No one can do it for you. But you are not alone. I'll be here with you in every video, every topic, as we learn, grow, and become stronger together. Thank you for taking the time to listen and join me today. If you found this episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content. Let's keep learning, growing, and becoming the best version of ourselves day by day, step by step. See you in the next episode, where we'll explore new topics, new skills, and continue nurturing emotional strength for a more fulfilled life.